Everyone. Thank you, Rehna. So this is the case with that severe vision loss in IIH, but this time it was not due to optic atrophy that it usually occurs, and it was due to a choroidal neovascular membrane. And this patient's vision was under threat from both these dangers. That was our confusion, whether it is totally unrelated two conditions or that have just occurred together in the same person, or are they actually related. And we found in literature that CNVM is a rare complication of IIH, and peripapillary choroidal neovascular membrane can be seen in 0.5 to 0.53% of cases. The pathogenesis is said to be secondary to pressure deformity of the border of the Bruch's membrane at the optic disc, with discontinuity of the normal anatomic opposition of the chorioretinal layers. This anatomic dehiscence, coupled with the hypoxia created by the axonal tissue swelling and resultant impaired vascular perfusion, is what results in this choroidal neovascular membrane. It has been reported as early as 2006 with a series of patients with IIH, of which 6 patients had this SRNVM, and there have been a couple of case reports in which again they have shown that there is actually an association between peripapillary CNVMs along with IIH. And then there is also in literature that it will resolve without treatment, but that was maybe in the early days of anti-VEGF. So once anti-VEGFs have come in, most people have actually treated with anti-VEGF injections. This is again a series of case reports that have come about the same case. There has also been a reported case of juxtapapillary CNVM in patient with optic neuritis. So it seems that any kind of anatomical swelling in that area predisposes to a peripapillary CNVM. So my questions to the panel were, what experience do you have with these patients having CNVM, and how was the response to treatment? And in this case, when you think that some of the papilledema itself can produce this macular edema and star, what are the things that we should look at to suspect that there may be a secondary CNVM, except of course when the OCT gives you the key. Clinically, when should we suspect? Looking forward to your comments.
I'm going to set the cat among the pigeons. You look at your fluorescein angiogram, you have hypofluorescence, and I think that was mentioned by the presenter also. You have hypofluorescence in the early phase and hyperfluorescence in the late phase. Now, if you go back to fluorescein angiogram, unfortunately nobody bothers about it. This is a classic picture of a choroiditis. It does not happen in a CNVM. You only get, if you have a CNVM and if you have a classic CNVM, you have early hyperfluorescence, which is, you have early hyperfluorescence, possibly with a net or without a net. You don't, and then it becomes more intense in the late phase. So, and the second thing is, if you see the OCT, there is no disruption of the RPE. Both these things point to the fact that this was not CNVM, but was a choroiditis. I'm just saying, if you go, see, even if you have to go wrong if I have to go wrong, I should go wrong in a logical manner. So logically,
Raja had to come out of his oblivion to counter you.
Yeah. So I'm just telling you. So
no, let him complete.
So basically, you have a situation where actually this could look like a choroiditis. And the second thing is, anti-VEGF agents will work. Because now we have, I think there are a lot of studies coming from PGI also, where they've been giving anti-VEGF agents for active choroiditis, and it works. So, because they have an anti-inflammatory effect. So, I have an issue with the fact that the fluorescein angiogram is not consistent with a classic CNVM. The OCT is doubtful for a classic CNVM, and the rest, yes, you could have a combination of CNVM also with benign intracranial hypertension. That's not an issue. And then a choroiditis would explain the disc edema much more than a CNVM would. that alone could become a reason for why you got the why you.
No,
had
but Talwar, here it is a bilateral disc edema.
Bilateral disc
Exactly,
edema.
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm saying
Intracranial
disc-
tension is
this is
high,
where the confusion
definitely
comes
high.
up.
It is a mild type of BIH,
It's very mild.
which classically treated with Diamox QID 250
And
milligrams.
it's a very mild.
Fine with BIH. Okay, for that
It's a
condition,
very mild.
and it can be coexistent.
I don't
This
deny that.
CNVM
I am
can
saying my
coexist.
fluorescein picture.
Let us now come to the left eye, where you are debating between choroiditis and CNV.
Let's have a look at the FA first. Have a
Can
look
you
at
pull up
the-
that? Can you
Now,
share this?
go to the fundus photograph, right?
Okay,
Anand
can you,
also has
Rehana,
come
can you
now.
share it again?
Yeah, can you just share that, because it's a moot point of contention. I believe it's CNVM. So anyway, can you show that? So you know,
No, it is
kind of-
CNVM.
So there is, you can see a early leakage.
Rehana, can you share the
Share,
fundus
let me
photograph first, and then
Yeah, so it could be
two
quality of the
FFAs?
image also. That's why I said the quality of the image is also an issue.
So yeah, so
No,
based on this, I would still call it
Exudates
very
and
much a
hemorrhage is going in favor of CNVM rather than a choroidal.
The exudation goes in favor of a CNVM.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
correct.
I am
Then
only
go to
pointing
the-
out the
Yeah.
controversy within the issue in this.
Yeah.
No, here you can see there is a whitish layer which is dirty white, also goes in favor of CNVM.
CNVM.
Between the disc and the macula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's go to the next photo.
choroiditis for me
photograph,
should be
yeah.
more yellowish.
So CT and FFA. Yeah.
Next FFA.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get this hypofluorescence in a CNVM.
So that's a very, very early frame, sir.
That's very
Yeah,
early.
that's-
yeah,
that's-
serious
yes.
frame.
Yeah.
And you can
so
see
could
that-
be-
No, but-
that's what I'm saying. You could be missing it.
Yeah.
So you go to the next frame, but you by this frame, by the arterial phase, the CNVM should also be fluorescent. So there should have been a component within this. I'm not saying the whole thing should be fluorescent, but there should have been a component within this where the main area of the CNVM is on your later phase. You should have had an early phase hyperfluorescence within that. The fluid would would create a hypofluorescence
No.
around
When
that.
there is Talwar, when there is a fluid which is very turbid in the initial phase, there can be a hypofluorescence,
I agree.
which can become hyperfluorescence in the later phase.
Listen.
That's
You
what
will
exactly
never say
happening.
hypo in
If
the
you see,
early.
if you see the whole lesion, it is not fluorescing so well in the third picture. Whereas when you come to the fifth picture, the hyperfluorescence is uniformly high.
Yeah. Also, your entire case is built upon the hypofluorescence. Now, that hypofluorescence is also contributed by the disc edema, the spillover.
Disc
That's
edema
also-
and the peripapillary
correct,
edema of the
peripapillary
retina.
edema. So therefore, your entire case is built across upon that hypofluorescence. So that is masked by the disc edema and the CNVM edema.
Yeah.
Whereas the third picture and the subsequent, the last picture, show it clearly to be CNV network. And
At
from my
what
experience,
time?
just to
You
add,
don't have the time. What is the time for the third picture?
I mean,
What is the time for the third picture?
It's
Sir,
a
If it is
phase-
at 1 minute, it's not relevant.
it's a
Yeah.
EV
If it is at
phase,
30 seconds, it's still relevant.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir, I will personally communicate it to you, sir. For
No.
the interest of time, let us
OCT must be
move-
there.
Let us
No,
let us
I'm-
have